It's time for Coffee with the Chicken Ladies, a podcast for people who love chickens.
Hey everybody, and welcome. It's Chrisie&Holly from Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. We're here, and this is episode number 222 of our podcast, where we talk about everything chicken, family, fun, and
more chickens.
More chickens. We drink a ton of coffee. I'm talking a ton. But most importantly,
we hug chickens every day.
And we kiss them too, don't forget. We brew coffee from a little coffee roaster in Houston, Texas. Bright and early coffee. Holly Ann, what kind of coffee are we brewing today?
This is native pecan.
Because we just love to be nutty, and we love our coffee nutty too. So if you're not drinking native pecan by Bright and Early Coffee, you are missing out. Now, we have a code. It's CWTCL 15 for 15% off a bad coffee. Holly Ann, where should everybody go?
brightandearlycoffee.com.
And if you need K-Cups, they're over on Amazon. Follow them on social media on Facebook and Instagram. Are you ready to sip some of this delicious nutty pecan coffee and chat?
I am. But first, a word from our sponsor.
We have some exciting news to share from our sponsor, Grubbly Farms. They're here, new and improved, Grubbly's World Harvest.
I'm a longtime subscriber, and my flock love the healthy, nutritious treats, plus orders $40 and more ship free.
If you haven't heard, Grubbly's has a fantastic layer pellet and crumble feed. It's packed with plant and insect protein, perfect for those picky chickens and ducks.
Grubbly Farms makes food and treats for healthy pets and planet.
To support us and Grubbly Farms, use the link grubbly.co/coffee. Try it today. Okay, so we are recording in the morning. It's a sad day that we're not brewing breakfast blend this morning.
No breakfast blend. I mean, the reality is we've gotten so old that we really can't work at night anymore. So it has to be like really early in the morning.
Or midday, man.
Or midday, yeah. Or otherwise it's gone.
So, yeah. And it's bitterly cold. So we're letting the baby stay in for a little bit longer this morning because it's way below freezing here in the Mid-Atlantic this morning. So
it's frigid. The sheep have plenty of hay and everyone can sleep in because if we let them out right now, there would be mass frostbite.
We don't want to do that.
Nope.
So, before we even go on, my dad's birthday was the 23rd, so I want to wish him a happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Mr. Bob.
I'm sure he partied. He might have partied so hard that he doesn't remember it, but he did probably.
It's possible. It's possible.
Happy birthday, Dad. Okay, so what else is going on besides winter cold, Dad's birthday, winter cold, and egg prices being high?
I mean, the egg prices are really high. We have quite a nice supply of goose eggs over here, but I need to lock all the doors because if anyone got to look at this bowl full of goose eggs on my counter, they might lose their mind and steal them.
Although I think that the geese would be like going after people if they even came in your yard at this point.
Probably. They probably
you have your own like protectors. You're like, okay,
that's my security
ready.
Crew, and they will hiss at you.
And chase you, bite your bottom.
I've never had them chase anyone at this point. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I lost my mind, and I shouldn't even tell you this because you're the child of two postal carriers. You're like a double postal carrier kid.
I am.
But our mail lady, the geese weren't even with me. And generally when she is around, on our property, the geese and I are at the other end. So she's not even encountered them. But I walked out of the door to go let the geese out. And I came upon the mail lady standing on her truck and throwing boxes into the garage. I'm not kidding you.
What?
Yes. Standing on the step of the truck. And I thought to myself, has she even encountered the geese? She hasn't. And so you know me, I said, people who throw boxes shall be subject to the attack geese. She got in the truck and left.
She wasn't happy with that, but they're not even out chasing her. And
No, I mean, she literally was standing, the step.
Yeah, like hanging out the side of the truck.
And threw the packages. I wish I could make that up, but I am not.
I know, there could have been some breakable vintage chicken things in there. That
it would have been on. Like a shipment from Emma Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That would have been bad.
So other than that, and the cold has pushed back by maple tapping.
Okay, I want some of this maple syrup because I got to taste it.
Every time you laugh, I subtract an ounce of maple syrup from your bottle. Every time you laugh at me, that's what's happening. Subtracting an ounce.
Stop.
If I manage to get enough maple syrup, I will absolutely share it with you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yep.
For my baking, because a lot of baking calls for just straight up maple syrup for
It does,
sweetener.
yeah. You can use maple syrup in a lot of ways. You can also make maple sugar. I'm not going to attempt that my first round, but you can make maple sugar and bake with that.
And
You just have
butter too, probably.
Maple butter. It's really versatile. You can do a lot with it. And I have almost 10 sugar maples. The boiling process is going to be interesting. We have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But the other reason I needed to warm up is because every day it's cold, I sit at my computer ordering seeds and plants. It's a problem.
Yeah. It's freezing, man. I mean, the groundhog way back on the second said 6 more weeks. The poor groundhog gets mad every time you wake him up. He's going to say 6 more weeks of winter.
Right?
Please leave the groundhog alone.
I say worse things.
I
say a lot worse things than 6 more weeks of winter when people wake me up.
Oh my God. We dodged a bullet today with that snow. It's to the south of us. Thank goodness. Yeah. Yay.
I've seen enough snow.
I'm done. And on that note, if you're listening to the show and you're loving it, head on over to Apple Podcast and leave us a written review. Believe it or not, we love reading these. It makes us so happy. And when you're there, hit that subscribe button because you never want to miss the fun, right? And they count them.
If you're looking for other ways to support the show, you can tell a few chicken, goose, or duck-loving friends about us. You can share your favorite episodes on social media. You can become a patron of the show, patreon.com/coffeewiththechickenladies. And the other thing you can do to help support us is visit our website and our show notes, use our affiliate links and discount codes, and buy products from our sponsors.
Yay!
So, winter is coming.
It's better when Sean Bean says it.
Can you stay on topic for just a minute?
What topic?
Winter. Well, chickens, obviously, and igloo coops from Omelette.
Oh, yeah. You got to have an igloo for winter.
If you don't know igloos, they're engineered for extremes, double insulated, waterproof, and stormproof.
They keep out any weather and all predators.
And you can just wipe them clean.
My girls and little man are so comfy in their Igloo Pro.
Mine too. Warm and dry all year round.
Winter is coming.
Be ready with an igloo.
Search Omelette. That's OMLET.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Do you like monthly subscriptions?
Does it have anything to do with chickens?
Of course.
Then yeah. Let us take a minute to tell you about Chicken Love.
You get a monthly Chicken Lady tee, treats for your flock, and a keeper care card.
And did you know with every multi-month subscription, you get a free Chicken Love logo t-shirt?
Really?
Yeah.
It's $36 a month with free shipping.
What are you waiting for? Get off the nest and click already. That's chickenlove.com. That's chickenluv.com. Get your subscription today.
The Breed Spotlight is brought to you by Murray McMurray Hatchery, defining quality for generations. For over a century, Murray McMurray Hatchery has remained a trusted family-owned business, working tirelessly to ensure our poultry meet the highest standards.
Whether you are an experienced enthusiast or just embarking on the journey, look to McMurray Hatchery for guaranteed quality, rare and heritage breeds, low minimums, and all the supplies you need to raise your flock. Request a free catalog today. Love you like a duck, oh baby, I love you like a duck. Love you like a duck, oh baby. So we're gonna give you the Duck Breed Spotlight. Yeah.
Quack, quack, yeah.
That's Paul Simon.
Oh, I didn't recognize him. My goodness.
That
Excellent.
was Love You Like a Rock, but Love You Like a
now
Duck.
that you said it. I did not know. I thought you were just making that up. Okay. Tribute to Paul Simon.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we are doing a duck, obviously.
Quack, quack.
And this week's Breed Spotlight is the buff duck, but we're going to call it what it should be called, the buff Orpington duck.
Oh, yeah, because we love Orpingtons of any kind, even the ducks.
Even the ducks.
Yes.
The buff duck is a beautiful bird that was developed in the UK by William Cook, breeder of the buff, breeder of the buff Orpington chicken. I mean, Bill was in it hard. Like, he was breeding everything.
That's what she said. You set me up for that one.
I pitched that one right to you. So this duck is a gorgeous shade of light brown. It's probably best described as fawn. It's really beautiful. Buffs are friendly. They're good-natured ducks. They are equally great at being a pet in a small flock or a dual-purpose duck on a homestead. The buff ducks are found in the American Poultry Association's medium duck class, and they are currently listed in the watch category of the Livestock Conservancy's conservation priority list.
I mean, anything that we're going to talk about with Orpington involved, it's going to be good personality and beautiful. Those two things we know spread across the board.
Beautiful, practical heritage breeds. That's what you get.
That's what you get. And you can't go wrong with it. So
most of the accurate information about the development and early history of the buff duck comes from Arthur C. Gilbert. Now, Arthur Gilbert was married to Lily Cook, William Cook's youngest daughter.
Okay.
He was an integral part of the Cook family business. He carried on breeding, showing, and writing after William Cook passed away in 1904.
Right.
And the following information comes from his various written accounts. Now, if you want to learn more about William Cook and his family and the Buff Orpington chicken, listen to episode 217, where we spotlight the chicken version of the Buff Orpington and give a lot of that family history.
It's rich. That is the definition of a rich family history, for sure.
You could easily write a book about the Cook family, very easily.
Yeah, definitely.
William Cook worked on his Orpington ducks at his farm in the town of Orpington in Kent, England in the 1890s. The first two colors he developed were buff and blue. The main foundation breed was the runner duck, also known as the Indian runner in those days. So what they did, they took runners, and they bred the runners to Aylesbury's, they bred runners to Rouens, and they bred runners to Cayugas. And all of these other foundation breeds had been selected previously for good laying ability.
Okay.
So they took good laying runners and bred them to larger, different colored birds that were already good layers. The best of that offspring was selected and bred for several more generations to get the consistent coloring, etc.
Right.
Now, during this breeding program, Cook noticed that a certain percentage of the ducklings had blue feathering.
Pretty.
Right? So he decided to use them to create a blue color variety that was separate from the buff.
I mean, you can't go wrong with blue anything either.
They're both stunning. Cook's original intention was to create a true dual-purpose duck in a buff color because it was super popular with the Victorians. They loved the buff color. You know what color they didn't care for that much?
I'm guessing, I don't know, white?
No, it was the blue because the Victorians had it in their brain that blue birds were crossbreeds.
It's kind of true, though.
I mean, yes and no. You know, it depends on how you're getting that blue.
It's a crossbreed within your breed for color variety, so it's not really a crossbreed at that point.
Well,
but
he pulled the blues out, and I know he added another breed or two to them, including the General White Pekin.
Okay.
So anyway, again, the whole reason he started off with the project was for the buffs, which the Victorians loved. And just to set the record straight, because I've seen some like dueling information out there, Ada Campbell's khaki Campbell ducks were created after Cook's Buff Orpingtons. So sometimes you see that she was successful, so he imitated it. It actually is not that the case. She wasn't imitating him either. She just wanted a buff duck, and so she used her own method.
Exactly.
If the color was that popular, people were going to go for it. Now, William Cook debuted his Buff Orpington ducks in 1897 at the Dairy Show in the Royal Agricultural Hall in London. Think State Fair on steroids.
Right, exactly.
Milk and cheese and breeds and eggs and all that stuff. He also took them to Australia soon after this debut, and they were very popular in Australia. All the ducks that he took sold quickly, and then some of them went on to set records in egg-laying contests.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And as we mentioned earlier, after Cook's death in 1904, his son-in-law Arthur Gilbert stepped in and took over with the ducks. Gilbert formed an Orpington Duck Club, and he served as a secretary. He wrote the standard for the breed, and he began showing them at large poultry shows, including the Crystal Palace Show in London in 1907.
Nice.
Now, in 1908, the Buff Orpington duck was first shown at the Madison Square Garden Poultry Show. It wasn't clear who was showing them. I'm not sure. My guess is Percy Cook, who another one of William's sons. He managed the American branch of Cook & Sons, but again, that is just a guess.
Exactly.
The Buff Orpington duck was accepted into the American Poultry Association Standard of Perfection in 1914. But in a somewhat controversial move, the Orpington was dropped from their name. So they just appear in the standard as the buff duck.
They like the way it sounded better. They're like the buff duck.
A duck's in the buff.
Yeah, my duck's in the buff. How about yours?
Mine are fully feathered. Thank you. I'm wondering if they did that to distinguish them from the Buff Orpington chicken. Maybe they thought it would be confusing. I don't think it would be that confusing.
No.
I think it's unfortunate because dropping the Orpington and just calling them Buffs robs them of some of their history and connections to the Cook family.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just think they like the way it sounded. Hey, you got a buff duck, buff duck.
I think they're the only duck that is named like for a color variety instead of a place name or something like that.
Exactly. So, but they are a gorgeous shade of the buff brown. You can't
They're beautiful ducks.
dispute that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So they're medium-sized ducks with the drakes typically weighing in between 7 to 8 pounds. Now that's big for a duck, honestly. I mean, when you think about the other ones. And the hens are weighing in around 6 to 7 pounds. That's pretty large. I mean, honestly.
I mean, they're medium weight, but remember, like birds like the silver appleyard or the Aylesbury are even bigger than that.
I know. They're big. They're big. So the drakes have a darker head and their bill is a brighter orange. Shocker. While the hens have more of a brownish orange bill with that little black bean on the end.
Very cute.
It's they're adorable. They both have graceful, slender heads and orange legs and feet. Think duck. That's what you're going to see.
Yep.
Now, they have a broad, deep breast and a long, broad back and an adorable waddle when they walk. Waddle, waddle, waddle.
All waddle all the time.
Let's go into the stats everybody wants to know. The buff hens are good layers of a very large, usually white, but occasionally bluish colored egg. And they'll give you around 180 to 200. That's a lot for a duck. That's great.
That's really nice numbers. Yeah.
And they sometimes do go broody, but if you need hatch security, use an incubator because they're not like the buff Orpingtons where they're like going to definitely go.
No,
I said, I've had buff Orpingtons that never went broody a day in their life. So again, you never know. It's all an individual thing.
Right. I mean, my understanding is if you get a female that doesn't break and she stays on the nest, they're okay mothers. They're not necessarily like helicopter moms that are watching the ducklings every minute. They don't reliably go broody. So that's problem number one. Right. And they don't always finish. And so if you definitely need to get your buff ducklings hatched, one spring, incubator is probably the safer way to go.
Or get yourself a bantam chicken because they will sit on them.
And a nankin on one duck egg.
That would be so cute. Just don't get Seabright. Just don't get a Seabright.
No. The American Poultry Association calls the buffs a triple-purpose duck because they make such good showbirds. They are excellent family birds with their calm and friendly personalities. Now, the buffs were in my top 3 when I first wanted ducks. So I wanted the black Swedish and I wanted buffs and then a couple of other breeds.
But you're getting runners.
I'm getting runners, but my hope is that down the line, once Pete gets used to ducks, we can get others.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now, like most ducks, they're great foragers. This is what ducks are known for.
Yep.
And they're great additions to your permaculture setups and your regenerative ag projects. This is where they excel over other poultry. They are really big on this thing.
The founder, I'm saying founders in quote, because what they did was write about practices. They didn't invent them, but the founders of the permaculture movement, Dave Mollison is one of them, and he was in Australia. And he's famous for saying, you don't have a slug problem.
You don't have ducks, so that's the problem.
I'm paraphrasing this, but he would say, you don't have a slug problem. You don't have enough ducks, essentially.
Right.
So,
I mean, they're known for taking down those slugs for you.
They are definitely a garden friend. The ducks are really good in the garden. That's not saying they're not going to pull up your seedlings because they will.
Oh, yeah. Now,
once your plants are more mature, they let it go.
Now, the buff duck, generally, they don't fly and they're hardy, content birds. So that's a good thing.
People who keep buffs tend to really love them and they love to talk about them, how wonderful they are. I feel like this was sort of a niche. Like people say, oh, I have all these breeds and I love them. But people with the buff ducks, they love them.
And let's go into this because like most ducks, they are pretty hardy for cold and warm. So they can, withstand both of the climates pretty well, which is great.
Yeah, they do need access to water, even if it's only a kiddie pool. I mean, with the ducks, even more so than the geese, you need to give them something they can get in for their water.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Kiddie pool all the way. Or, you can get those make your own pond pools and dig them down or use them just up and be able to clean them out and all those good things.
You're not going to be surprised when I tell you I'm looking into making a pond.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. No.
A small one that the wildlife doesn't have access to. This would be for my birds only.
Right. Exactly.
Now that pool water from the kiddie pool or wherever else your ducks are splashing and pooping and doing everything, that pool water is amazing for watering your plants, especially flowers and fruit trees, shrubs. Don't use it directly on your greens or other edibles because it's got poop in it usually.
That's not good.
But the fruit trees love it. So I've been watering my apples and my persimmons with it. And I had this Japanese chrysanthemum that was really struggling. And it was struggling for about 3 years. I don't think it likes its spot.
Right.
So all last year, I watered it with goose water. It put on an amazing display in the fall.
Awesome.
Huge, gorgeous flowers. So my sister was like, you need to bottle that goose poop water and sell it.
Exactly. So they are vulnerable to predators. This is no shock. They're going to require protection. And it's just something that they need. They can't really fly. They're going to need protection from the weather,
fly.
From predators, from all those things.
They can't fly. They can't waddle I mean, they can move, but they can't waddle at high speeds. They're not going to outrun a fox or something.
No.
And they are vulnerable to both land predators and aerial predators. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, ducks need a different setup coop-wise than chickens.
Right.
Chickens, they want to roost, where ducks do not. Okay, so with the coop, you want it further down to the ground. They're going to roost in there, in their bedding, so you don't need a roost. So it's a little different of a setup. So you just have to do your research on it. They still need an aviary. They still need a run, and they need water. So look at those things.
I'm about to do a whole permaculture program around my chicken and goose and duck yards, planted with more stuff that they can get under. And it will be, separate from where the sheep can get in, just because I want more space to free range my birds, but I need it contained somewhat.
Exactly.
So it'll be like kind of a big run outside of all the runs, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Okay, so here's the big question. Where can people get them? We know the answer. Let's tell everybody else. You probably know the answer too.
You can get the beautiful buff duck as sexed ducklings from McMurray Hatchery and Metzer Farms. These are really nice ducks.
They are. They would be a great addition to anybody's homestead, and they bring in a different kind of skill set than the chicken. So you're going to have a little bit of different stuff going on, which is a good thing too.
The fawn color is absolutely beautiful. The good personality, the laying, like it's one of those you can't go wrong with ducks.
Exactly.
Are you ready to dive into the fascinating world of backyard ducks? Look no further than Metzer Farms, your premier destination for top quality waterfowl. Whether you're a seasoned breeder or just starting out, Metzer Farms has everything you need to elevate your flock to the next level. And if you're passionate about call ducks, you're in for a treat.
Metzer Farms hatches a stunning variety of call ducks, meticulously bred for their miniature size, beauty, and calm temperament. From snowy whites to vibrant colors, each duck is a masterpiece waiting to grace your backyard. Visit MetzerFarms.com today to browse their extensive selection and start your journey into the wonderful world of waterfowl. Metzer Farms, where passion meets perfection.
If you're looking for a chicken coop that's produced in a planet-friendly, sustainable way, try Nestera.
Each coop is made from highly durable, 100% recycled plastic that keeps the equivalent of up to 2,000 shampoo bottles out of a landfill.
Their clean, modern design will fit into any garden or run area and comes with an industry-beating 25-year warranty and a range of handy accessories.
Simple to put together, so quick and easy to clean, and most importantly, red mite resistant. Your chickens will love it.
Quick shipping from Nestera.us.
For a 5% discount, use the affiliate link in our show notes, on our website, and on Instagram. Link in bio. Check them out today. Roosty's proudly sponsors Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. They're back with an innovative new product. You're going to want to check this out.
It's an extra large set, a 14-pound feeder and 3-gallon water with steep anti-roost lids. They're made of super durable material. You can either stand them on legs or hang them on brackets on your coop or fence. They're easy to remove and clean too. Plus, they look awesome.
We personally use Roosties, and we're huge fans. So if you're raising chicks or keeping chickens, check out the Roosty store on Amazon or follow the link in our show notes. Okay, so are we ready to move on to main topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, this week, we are really thrilled to welcome Matt Dubois to the show. Matt is the owner of Carolina Coops. He has been in business 17 years. Many of you have probably seen their videos on YouTube. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the table. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank God there was a reminder sent out because I was not mentally prepared for this. So maybe that'll make it even a better podcast for you. I think sometimes I do my best work when I'm not prepared for class. So hopefully I don't disappoint.
Well, we're not tough.
Okay, good.
Well, some say.
Tough doesn't scare me. Sometimes I love tough. Sometimes that's when you learn your best lessons, right?
That's
right,
true.
exactly. Okay, so we're going to start this we want you to tell our audience, our listeners, a little bit about yourself, how you started your coop business, because I don't know, everybody needs to go out there and look at these coops. These coops are gorgeous, so we want to know how it all started.
Well, thank you. Honestly, I get asked that a lot, and I think it's important, and I'll go as quick as I can to tell the very, very beginning. And that's actually taking me all the way back to 5th grade. I will never forget this moment. When I was in school, especially as a young boy, it was not easy. It was actually very hard for me. And I really struggled. I really felt that there was something wrong with me because I could not get the answers. I just didn't have the understanding like all my classmates did. But of course, there was some other kids that were kind of very similar. And I just didn't get it. So I struggled, right? And at the same time, it was probably the worst teacher I ever had. Just she hated me for whatever reason. I don't know if it was election year. I don't remember. But so springtime comes around, right? And she walks in with this big spaceship looking styrofoam thing with a cord hanging, and she's got a dozen eggs. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just drawn to it. Don't know why. And she goes, class, we're going to incubate eggs. I'm like, cool. For whatever reason, during that 21-day process, I became obsessed. And I'll never forget, like probably, I don't know, day 16, day 17, on this little, tugging on the leg of the teacher. I'm like, it's down 1% of humidity. We got to get it up. And she's like, Matt, where did you just come from? And I'm like, I'm learning. Nice. So the chickens hatch. All of them hatch. We actually had a really good success rate.
Nice.
Friday comes. All right. And I believe it was like 4 or 5 of us students were allowed to take home 4 or 5 baby chicks. And the teacher picked them out. And I'm like, oh my God, pick me, please pick me. Right. And I was the last one picked. I will never forget this moment. My classmates, most of them are like, oh no, not Matt. He's going to kill them all. And da, 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 da.
Oh, shoot.
So in my mind, I'm like giving them the middle finger, but at the same time, I'm like so happy I get to bring these baby chicks home.
Yeah.
Okay. So I bring the baby chicks home, and I'm telling you, I just took it into overdrive. I'll never forget their little brooder. I had those old, if you remember Radio Shack, I had those little walkie-talkies that had a little orange button. I taped the button shut. That was my baby monitor.
Oh, cool. I like that idea. That's cool.
I put it down inside the brooder. So anywhere I went in the house, I could hear, you can tell when baby chicks are in distress, and you can tell when they're happy. So came back Monday morning with all my baby chicks alive. Nobody else brought their baby chicks back alive.
Oh, wow. That's so sad.
It was at that moment I said, when I get older, I want to have some chickens. Mm-hmm. So that was the initial spark. And the reason why I like to share that message is because I am so thankful on our YouTube channel. I can tell you stories where actually I just got done doing an interview where we did for Make-A-Wish, a young child named Sawyer. His wish was to have chickens. But these children are even watching our YouTube videos. Yeah. And they're loving what we're doing. I couldn't be more thankful. And so I'm just so very proud of that. So it's always important. You never know what that initial spark's going to be for a child, and it's going to turn into hopefully a lifelong dream, which I think it has happened to me. So fast forward to 2008. 2008's recession. I am originally from upstate New York. I can't stand New York State. New York State's only good for one thing. That's the food and Wegmans. That's it. If you don't know Wegmans.
We have Wegmans. We have Wegmans in Maryland too. So
you do now. That's right. It came right from Rochester, New York, right where I'm from. So anyways, I got out of there. I couldn't stand the cold, couldn't stand the taxes, whatever. And I was able to relocate I was an exterminator for a long time, relocated with Ecolab down to Durham and bought my first house. And we had, I think, half an acre. And you got to remember, this is a recession. So there's a lot of crazy things going on. I just relocated within the same company, but I discovered, and this where Southerners are going to get mad at me, but I understand it. I found out about the good old boy club. I understand why they don't like us Yankees moving down. And we struggled. Nan and I have been together for over 30 years now. We've been attached to the hip since we're probably like 13 years old. We move in, get our first house. We are struggling. We are poor. We don't have money to feed ourselves. I mean, it was just absolute hell. But what was happening is, as I was an exterminator, I was coming across these dumpsters, and I just got nosy one day, looked in there, I found some wood, and I was like, you know what? It's time for me to build my first chicken coop. I have no money, but there's free wood. So I built my first chicken coop, got my first set of chickens, fell in love with it. Well, guess what happens next? Chicken math. So I'm like, I got to get some more chickens. So I'll never forget sitting at my laptop. And this is when Craigslist was first coming out. And here's another life lesson I've learned. I can't preach this enough for everyone else. Don't be scared. The biggest thing is to not take a risk, right? I remember sitting at my laptop ready to hit post. I got the pictures of the little chicken coop. I got the price. I'm like, who the hell's going to buy a little tiny chicken coop, right? But it was really nice. It was $225. I'll never forget it. I said, screw it, hit post. And I sold it in less than half an hour.
Wow.
Now, $225 back then was gold. And I was just like, holy cow. So the lady shows up and I'm like, you sure about this? You know, it's a chicken coop, right? She goes, oh, yeah. And she goes, you know, Matt, a lot of people are getting in the backyard chickens. I'm like, really? That's interesting. Well, here's what happened. So then I'm already building my bigger chicken coop, but I left that post up just to see what was going on. And a lady from Greenville, North Carolina called me. She goes, Matt, I want that chicken coop. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't take the post down, but I have a bigger one that I'm building myself. If you like it, I'll sell it to you. She goes, well, send me the pictures. Sold immediately for $1,200. 17 years later, I really couldn't tell you my next coop. And I mean, the stories and so many great moments, but that's really how it started in the very beginning.
In the beginning, I thought you were going to tell us that a chicken walked in the room and that was the end. But essentially, that is what happened. You know, chicken eggs came in, you fell in love with the process, you fell in love with the animal, and you wanted to make it happen. And that I commend you because, you know, having a passion and then turning that passion into your business is the goal of every American out there. Every person out there is a goal to be so passionate about what you do. I can tell in your voice that you're very passionate about it.
Sometimes I'm too passionate, it gets me into trouble, but yes, I mean, that's just the DNA.
That's a New Yorker in you now. That's a New Yorker in you.
You know, I've learned, I always knew I was an entrepreneur. I just always knew it. I mean, I crushed it in Boy Scouts and selling whatever. I just loved, it wasn't, you know, making the money or whatever. It was someone picking me. And that's the disease. That's what we're addicted to as entrepreneurs is I don't care if I sell a $40 bale of hemp or I sell a $40,000 chicken coop. I just want them to choose me. That's what drives us. And I just absolutely love it.
I feel like you were, I mean, this is classic entrepreneur stuff, but there was a problem that you needed to solve. People needed coops.
Yes.
So you were building them. I was laughing as you were saying you sold that first coop for $225. The first coop I built, I used a bunch of secondhand, like recycled stuff. But I also spent $200 in materials for framing, etc. So I would have been right on that $225 coop.
Looking back, I mean, I can go on and on. I know we're very limited for time, but what I have learned, and I do, when I do interviews, try to share that side of the story because I remember in 2008, everyone's blaming Bush, everyone's blaming the banks, this and that. And I said, the problem here is we're not taking a look in the mirror and saying, are we doing the best we can? And that's where I decided it's fight or flight. You know, I could have tucked my tail, went back home and blah, blah, blah. But I said, no, let me just see if I can survive. And the craziest thing is I'll never forget the one day I was, you know, it was hotter than hell. My hands were on fire from grabbing onto the steel of the dumpster, jumping down in there. And I don't know if you've ever been dumpster diving. I mean, it's actually kind of fun. You got to be careful. You never know what you're going to step on. You're going to fall through this and that.
That's my uncle. He does that all the time. He finds some great finds in there too.
Uncle Sal?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
So here's what happened to me is I realized one of my happiest moments in life was in the bottom of a dumpster, treasure hunting. And that just taught me so much.
We're thrift store ladies, so we know that thrill because we collect anything vintage chicken.
A little cleaner, but yeah.
Yeah,
a little bit cleaner, but I think that's fantastic. And so fast forward 17 years, you're making these absolutely gorgeous coops. So for any of our listeners who have not checked out your stuff, tell us a little bit about like, what's your average customer like? Like, what are they looking for their setup? And what are you completely full service, like designed from the ground up for everyone?
Thank you for asking me that because here's a message I cannot get out enough. And I get asked that also a lot. Who are your customers? And I love that question because we all love chickens. We all love eggs. I have customers from the retired school bus driver to brain surgeons, to movie stars, to professional athletes. Like I'll tell you off the air what we're working on right now. I can't wait to come out with it. People are gonna be like, holy cow. Every single type of person, that's who one of our customers are. But what we have done, and I've realized, you mentioned something that's so true. When you're in a business and you're an entrepreneur, yeah, you're addicted to solving a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And
Number one.
I didn't know when I was starting to build chicken coops, I was solving a problem. I didn't know the problem existed. And I'll never forget when I was building, actually, it was my second coop. And I'll never forget standing there going, okay, most coops back then, especially, you didn't really care what it looked like. And I was kind of a snob as a woodworker. I like things that look beautiful. And I'll never forget going, should I trim this out or whatever? I just started trimming it out and making really beautiful coops. So a lot of coops, again, weren't beautiful. The other thing is the whole deep litter system, which is, I don't know, I doubt we have time to get into that, but that's one of the things that people love about our coops. You can go over a year without cleaning it out. But our customers are looking for what works for them. And we now sell coops to the planet. I got one that just went through customs in Japan. I mean, I got coops on every continent. It's just absolutely nuts. But I've learned that I got to really figure out how to solve their problems, and every situation is different. How much space they have, what their personal opinion is, like about should they free range, should they not, should they be on concrete, sand, the earth, soil. So trying to figure out, especially mass production, to make it as affordable as possible has been very challenging. But that's what we've done. 17 years later, we have phenomenal production chicken coops, means the best coop for the best price, but without jeopardizing quality, looks, function, beauty, all that. And then we got our custom line, and we are full service. We have people that can just click buy our coop now and it gets shipped, next day, depending on the time of year. Don't beat me up if you're listening to this in 6 months and it's summertime. Or we have customers, like we just got back from Italy. We were on the phone with him for probably a year, just going back and forth, figuring out what's going to be perfect for him. And that's my favorite thing to do. I love to listen to customers and really find out what they want and make those dreams come true.
So you're coming in and potentially putting it together for them also, or sending it and they put it together?
Yes.
Okay. Either or.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, yeah. So we offer it all. Put in your sweat equity or sit back with a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and let the guys and girls at Carolina Coops do the full white glove service for you.
Fantastic. And your coops are all wood.
Yes. I'm a woodworker.
But you have one coming out that isn't, right? That's like wood, potentially?
Well, there might be some confusion. I think I might know what you're saying, or you might be talking about someone else. God, there's so much. The whole 30-minute thing is hard. I want to cram all this in because there's some important things to understand, but I am very big on being innovative, not getting stuck into a certain mold, even though sometimes molds work, whatever. We just implemented a new material called Acre. Now, Acre, we've been experimenting with for 5 years. Comes from an upcycled material from a rice hull grown here in America. Some people, when I say rice, they think Chinese. No, it's not from China. Actually, America exports a ton of rice. Yeah. So they take that outside husk, if you will, the kernel or the seed, and they make this wonderful material that cuts like wood, looks like wood, you work it like wood, you paint it, stain it like wood, but it lasts forever. It is rot resistant, bug resistant. It's so stable, and it just works in all these different environments. However, the stuff is equivalent to the price of gold. Okay. And I had to make a decision, and I did. I said, I got to go for it. At the end of the day, I will always choose quality over quantity. So that might be what you're talking about. But yes, I'm
pretty sure.
The skeletal system of the framing of our coops is Douglas fir, a phenomenal wood, not a cheap wood, but it's just my go-to because the coops have to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
You could have your bestie over for a coffee date right with your chicken coop, or some wine on Wednesday while your chickens are right there, and feel like you're fabulous at the same time. That's awesome.
Yeah, you could eat in our chicken coops if you wanted to.
They're works of art. I mean, they're stunningly beautiful coops.
Thank you.
The chicken shed, the she shed, the whatever you want to call it. It's amazing. We love what you do. So that leads us to right now, chicken wise, where are you in the chicken world? How many chickens do you have?
Oh, who's asking?
Friends.
No, I'm kidding.
Friends.
I always harass my chicken expert, our chicken niece. She's got so many chickens. And when people ask, and she's in the HOA too. So she's like, well, who's asking? She's got those, outlaw chickens. Me personally, technically have 0, right? The plumber always has a leaky toilet. Carolina Coops and our wonderful display coops out front. I actually think I just sold a bunch. I think I'm down to 10 or 12 out front.
Okay.
And I have realized, so I just bought a beautiful home up in Oxford, North Carolina. Carolina. And I'm so torn. Do I want to bring work home with me or not? Because I can tell you, when you own a business, the work really doesn't start until you go home. And it's only a business owner that can understand that it turns into hell. That's where your toughest conversations are. And then things are being said and you're like going nuts because you're like, I want to call that person right now and find out what's going on. And you got to wait till tomorrow. And then I don't sleep. And this is why I look like I'm 65 and I'm only 45. I mean, it's just nuts. But as my platform has grown on our social media for Carolina Coops on YouTube, TikTok, X, Instagram, all that, I've realized, I guess a form of an influencer, I'm always trying to do like what you guys do. I want to educate, but have it fun. Okay. And I always try to explain why. I don't do a real good job explaining it when I'm always in work mode. So I'm like, I need a coop back at home. And we actually started doing this in the kitchen, talking about how to cook eggs. And it's done so well because I kind of let my guard down. Instead of business mat, here's fun mat, hopefully. I'm hoping to have some chickens out of my house come this spring. I'm already late. I want to do all Orpingtons. I want my Jubilee, my chocolate, lavenders. I just love the Orpingtons. Love the Cochins, the big fat fluffy ones.
You're giving away. You should not say your favorite chicken yet. That's for the end.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that because it's already public. I've done actually full on our Video Chicken Live podcast that we do every Friday noon Eastern. And one of them was Matt's top 25 breeds. And boy, I tell you, it's fun. We're going to be doing a video next week. I have this horrible, I can't stand silkies. Can't stand them. They drive me nuts. And yet you got people. I can tell where Holly just looked at me. She's like, that's all I have are silkies.
No, she doesn't. We don't have silkies either.
Okay.
No, I was just thinking a lot of our listeners have silkies now.
Absolutely. So it's great. It's great for contents and comments, but yeah, I can't stand them.
See, you need to have the chicken ladies over. You need to have us over for a little gala on your lawn with your chickens and you. And have some fun.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. I do have my top 25 breeds, but we got into I can't stand silkies because they're just so difficult. But we have our silky modifications. I always tell people, if you're going to get silkies, you've got to tell us because they're special, to put it lightly. You got to make special.
They are.
We say that, because we do a breed spotlight every week and we get into the nitty gritty. And silkies are... special is a good word for them. They are birds that need extra TLC. And there are a few other ones, but they're probably the most popular of the birds that need the TLC.
And we get in trouble because we say they're not a beginner's breed because they're not. You need to have some experience under your belt before you have a chicken that needs a lot of extra care.
Or the willingness to just go extra with them.
Extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I love, and this is the thing you gain when you call Carolina Coops, and I can't emphasize what I'm about to say right now because it is insane what's happening. You talk about like now, I just did a show not too long ago where a guy completely copied our website pretending to be us. All right. And my sales manager, Mackenzie, she should have worked for the CIA. Next thing you know, he's in Africa. She's got him on the phone. I'm like, fire up the studio. We're going live. Right. And I actually pretended to be a customer and that's a whole nother story. But I was like, dude, after about an hour of him getting frustrated, I was like, dude, it's me. Come on. And he went into this whole justification. But yeah, so many people copying us and pretending to be us. It's really, really scary.
That is terrible. I love your story. And what I'm drawn to is your passion. Your passion it's fierce about your product and the quality of it and making these provisions. You're right up our alley with saying silkies need special provisions and different chickens need this. That's amazing.
Matt, do you do any waterfowl coops?
What are what?
Waterfowl, ducks and geese.
Oh, waterfowl.
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying? I'm so sorry.
Waterfowl.
Yeah, waterfowl.
Ducks Are you making fun of my Baltimore accent?
No.
A little bit.
Man, we just got done we do a lot of duck houses, geese houses, goose houses. We just got done. We haven't come out with it yet in Georgia. All Eastern red cedar, live edge, rustic, beautiful duck house. And what was crazy is, that's when we had another polar vortex. These poor guys, they did not plan for cold weather. It was like 1 degree for about every day for a week. Well, they put it right on a creek bed. It was so close that they had to put their ladders in the water in order to put the siding on and get the roofing on. But yeah, no, ducks are actually, I love duck eggs. I actually prefer duck eggs more than chicken eggs. Mm-hmm. But you were going to ask about the waterfowl?
Waterfowl. Yeah. I was just asking if you did. I recently got geese. My husband and I got geese and we're planning to add ducks this spring. We love them. That's going to make 10 coops on this property. But I was just wondering if you did any work for waterfowl people and what kind of special provisions they need.
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, they're the easiest or can be the easiest when it comes to, let's say you're DIYing a structure. Webbed-footed birds, in my opinion, I mean, they just want a doghouse. They just got to be able to go into a place and hunker down like they would in the wild. You know what I mean? Like chickens, they went up into the trees. Ducks, they go down and kind of really hunker down in the tall grasses. Well, what we do is we provide structures to make that perfect marriage between humans and ducks or geese. So one, you can keep them safe. You have a spot to go collect the eggs. You have some beautiful piece of furniture in your backyard. There is something that I have learned that I found fascinating. The other thing we're known for is, and I brought this to the table years ago, I was selling this product long before it was cool, and that's industrial hemp bedding. It is, in my opinion, probably the world's best diaper, okay, for especially the deep litter system in chicken coops. And you can absolutely use industrial hemp bedding for ducks and geese, but the things about ducks and geese, one, they're extremely messy, and their droppings are a lot more waterier. That's definitely not a word.
Hey, that's a new word. That's great.
Nice. You can keep that in. You don't have to edit that one out. Yeah. We have a new product that has been very popular for the duck bedding, and that is the healthy straw. And it's not regular long stalks of straw. I know here's where people are like, oh, no, you should never use straw. I can see, it's split open and chopped up. And what we've learned is, yes, it's nice to have the right structure for them, but the bedding, if you will, is what really helps them to be happy. And at the end of the day, that's what you want your ducks, geese, chickens to be is happy because they give you happy eggs, right? So we have learned that chopped up straw has just been phenomenal in our waterfowl structures.
Yeah, Chrissy and I will give you a treatise a mile long about reasons why straw and chickens don't always mix.
Yeah.
But we have straw in with the geese, and they really do like it. In fact, the girls just laid their first eggs today.
Nice.
And they had the straw, all kicked over into their little bed. It was adorable. We feel rich, though. The size of those goose eggs, man.
I've never had a goose egg. I love duck eggs. I don't think I've ever had a goose egg, but boy, I love eggs. Love eggs.
Yeah.
They're great. And right now the prices are going up. So a lot of people are out there looking at what it would be like to have a backyard flock of their own. And everybody's going to need a house for those chickens,
Oh, you're not kidding. Oh my gosh, we can tell what's going on by the phone calls, the traffic on our YouTube channel. And I mean, it's a sad statement, but it's true. Fear drives my business. But I am so thankful, and I can't preach this enough, that in my opinion, more and more people need to be able to do everything they can to provide food on their own, whether it's for their family, whether they're going to use it for trade, whatever it is. And it's so nice just to force us to get back outside. I mean, we don't get into the sun. We don't get dirty. I know it might freak out some people, but some of the best ways to keep yourself healthy is to get dirty. Yeah. And that's, again, having chickens, which are the gateway drug to homesteading. So if you're thinking about getting chickens, I'm just going to warn you, you start there. Next, it's ducks, it's goats and whatnot, which we do goat houses too. Oh yeah. We got the world's best goat house, but to get out there. And here's the thing that also I hear a lot, or I should say I read a lot on the keyboard warriors that just don't get it. They're like, oh boy, $50,000 chicken coop. Those are some expensive eggs. They just don't get it. How can you can really justify an investment into a chicken coop and your chickens as an investment into your health insurance? And why not be proactive instead of, again, especially in the Western part of the world, our medicine right now is still taught to us to react to other problems instead of being proactive. And honestly, you can get so many great health benefits, not just from eating wholesome, healthy backyard chickens, but again, just getting out, getting dirty, exercising, moving, whether it's time to do whatever it is with your chicken coop.
It's amazing. I mean, it's kind of out there that backyard chicken eggs are a third of the cholesterol of the industrial egg that comes to you. So you can live in a healthier lifestyle just by moving those days that you might not feel like getting out there, but you have to, and it keeps you healthier. It's one of those amazing things. Now, where do you see the future of Carolina Coops going? The sky's the limit here?
Boy, I'm a dreamer. I've learned that your vision board in life is critical. I wish we had time. Maybe next time I'd love to tell you a story about my couple mentors that have just changed my life, and I'm so thankful for them. But I'll never forget a piece of advice he had is you need to see it, you need to envision it. And I didn't realize I've been doing that my whole life, every single detail. I can tell you with this building, it's almost like I always knew what this building, my factory was going to look like, all the way down to the vending machines, that we offer to our employees.
Wow.
But the future, oh my gosh, I'm about ready to kick it into overdrive. Here's the future of Carolina Coops. I want to have a shop soon in Europe. I want to have a shop soon in Australia. Okay. And the reason is we ship coops there all the time. And I listen to the customers and they're all like, Matt, nobody here does what you do. And right now it is. It's expensive to ship it over there. I get it. So I'm just like, okay, once I master learning how to run a business here, hopefully I will in another 20 years in the United States, I want to go and be uncomfortable in a whole nother country, not know the language and just force myself to learn it and excel and create a Carolina Coops there. And then in Australia, it is nuts. It is like one of the hardest places to get anything into, but we've done it. And they're all like, we can't get timber. I've had customers come all the way from Australia to the United States to visit with us to buy a chicken coop.
My husband travels there for business for his work. And he's like, we're moving there. And I'm like, wait a minute, can the chickens go? How can we get them there? It's one of those things. He goes to Australia. He's like, I'm not coming home. I'm like, yes, you are. Stop trying to get away from the chickens. You're coming back.
Nice. Yeah, so I see that in the future. And the other thing is, and the 2020 really sparked this when COVID started. So many people. And listen, folks, I'm sorry. One day when someone maybe buys Carolina Coops, I will start a whole nother YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know how to build your coops. I get asked all the time, Matt, will you sell plans? Will you do this and that? And I haven't yet, mainly because I know how I want to do it. And I just don't have time right now. However, I always tell people, these are the things you want to think of when you're designing your own coop. I don't want you to necessarily try to be like, oh, what degree is that roof? How big is that window? No, figure it out for yourself. Have some fun with it, but learn what you need to know about chickens. However, I know it's hard. I know it's hard to build for your coop. And that's like the wind doors that are on the back of our hen house and our regular windows and the egg hutches, our rope wrap roost bars. You like what I'm doing? I'm already selling.
Well, hey, you're a good salesman. That's how you got where you are today.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. So what we started to do is offer all these accessories. So it's pretty easy to frame up a wall and slap some siding on it. But the art of chicken coop building is understanding that domino effect that if you want this certain size egg hutch, it's got to be here. And if you want to incorporate the deep litter, well, it just went up to here. Well, okay, well, I got to make room for the window. So it's got to be here. So you got that to worry about. But now we are in overdrive in our, what we just call our accessories. And it's done really, really well. It's actually been hard to keep up with it. I'm not trying to brag. It's actually a huge pain point, but it's proven to me that it's working, that I'm allowing people, and here's what I want. And if there's anything you're going to take from listening to this, if you are thinking about getting chickens, do it. There is not one reason you can't have them. We have saved so many marriages. I could write a book about it. But a lot of people, don't be scared to get out there. Go get a screw gun and try. You know what I mean? And these are a lot of things we do to try to help people to build their own. But we get, okay, here's an egg hutch, here's a window, rough it out, buy one of our pre-hung windows, drop it in there, things like that. So
that's
we definitely,
nice.
Thank you. We're going to be adding, I'm just going to continue to grow it. We call it our flock shop on our website, and we just sell a lot of accessories for the coops that people are building.
I love the process of coop building. I mean, I think it's fun. I don't have that kind of time anymore, but like if I just to echo what you said, if you want to do it, try it, go do it. It's really, I've made lots of mistakes, but there was nothing that couldn't be fixed.
The biggest mistake is not doing anything at all. There's such a value in making mistakes. So many people think a mistake is a negative, and I preach this to my team. I get upset if they're not making mistakes. And that may sound crazy, but if they're not making mistakes, they're not trying, they're not learning. And you can't put a price tag on learning.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Wow. That's amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, we are running low.
But we're going to have Matt back again because we definitely want to talk about his deep litter method at a later time.
Yeah, I would love that. I have so many more things I would love to share with you guys and, of course, your audience.
And I'm sure they would love to hear it. I mean, this is great stuff. I would say talking about food security is another thing that we could talk about for ages. But anyway, bring us back to the end of this episode. We're going to ask you the question we ask everyone. And we got into it a little bit earlier, but we're going to ask you to narrow it down to one or two, your favorite breeds of chicken.
Well, actually, I already have that. And I have kind of a funny story why, and maybe we'll share that for next time.
Sure.
And it's the silver lace cochin, period. Love it.
Oh, we both have them.
We both have them. There are gorgeous girls. Gorgeous.
Yep. Just absolutely love them. I love those booted feet. I love a lot of our shirts, like you can see here. I know the podcast listeners can't see it, but a lot of our color themes have turned out to be black and white, which is strange, but it's simple and clean. But I am the most gray person you'll ever meet, not just my hair. So it's just kind of I guess a contrast in my personality, why that black and white has happened. So the silver lace coach is just beautiful, that black and white.
No, we're right there with you. They are absolutely stunning girls. We love them so much.
We both have Jubilee Orpingtons also. So we think that we're a match here with chicken breeds that we like. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love the Jubilees. I love that every time they molt, you get more spots.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I always tell people they don't realize till after they get chickens is we start with, what breeds are beautiful. And then you realize that there's all these, not just white and brown eggs. You can have the copper Moran, which is probably my number 2 favorite chicken. That dark, almost black colored egg is so beautiful. And then you got your Wells Summer laying a speckled egg. So you have this beautiful fruit basket of eggs where now you're like, well, I would have never thought of getting an Americana. I can't stand them myself. Boy, people are going to beat me up for that one. But they lay some beautiful eggs. You know what I mean? And it's just such a great to have that fruit basket of eggs.
Have you had any Langshans?
No.
Okay. So
we stopped them.
They're kind of my new obsession, the Langshans. So they're longer legged, they're feathered leg, but not as heavily feathered as a cochin.
So I can't stand them.
Oh, that is bad, man.
I can't stand the chickens with the long legs, which is strange because Nan's got beautiful long legs, but I don't know. There's something about chickens that have a long tail, long legs drive me nuts. They're crazy. They're flighty. Girls that are fat.
You are truly from New York. You are truly a New Yorker.
No,
but we can handle you.
We can handle
because we're from Maryland.
That's right. We can handle a New Yorker. Langshans are nothing. They're not flighty. They're beautiful, beautiful birds, and they lay dark eggs. They're one of the few really old birds that lay dark eggs. Yeah.
See, I judge a book by its cover, and that's why you should never do that. I'm going to get 1 or 2 just for you. How's that sound?
I love that. Get yourself some Langshans. They're stunning. They're stunning birds. Yeah.
The next time we do a show, I'll make sure she's here. I know I've seen. I don't like the
name her Holly Ann.
Okay, done. I'm going to get a Holly and a Chrissy.
Yes.
Perfect.
I love it. And we're coming to North Carolina. And when you have that coop up and have some coffee and some wine.
Oh my gosh, we drink a ton of coffee. And so we should do that one day. We should have coffee in the morning in that chicken coop in the run, right? We can all dress up like we're in England or whatever, some tea. And then we're not alcoholics, but boy, when 4:30 bell rings, it's time to unwind and relax so we can have some wine or whatever.
We're there. We're there.
Well, this has been super, super fun, Matt. We would love to have you back on. I'm sure our listeners would love to hear more of you. In the meantime, go check out Carolina Coops on YouTube. Get your eyes on some of these beautiful structures.
And Matt, you're so much fun.
Well, thank you. I'm really not. I just pretend. And don't forget, carolinacoops.com. It is a website that has so much information there. Sometimes it's too information. We're actually going to be changing up the website to clean it up a little bit. But if you want to learn, go to our website, because there's so much bad information out there. And I will always explain why my opinion is what it is, and then make a decision from there.
Right. Now I'll have carolinacoops.com linked in the show notes.
Nice.
We'll talk to you later. Until
next
time.
Guys.
We just want to thank Matt one more time for taking the time to have a great conversation with us. It was really fascinating to learn the company history and how they design the coops. Head over and take a look at their website.
We're going down to Carolina to hang out for a few.
Our friends at Good Eggs solved the age-old question of how should I wash my eggs?
They're chicken people just like us who created the original silicone egg scrubber.
Both Chrissy and I use their brush and natural enzyme wash every time.
It's a total game changer.
It makes cleaning eggs so much faster and easier. Plus, they have a lifetime guarantee.
Good Egg is a small family business right here in the U.S., and they donate 10% of all profit directly to folks affected by cancer.
Go check them out at goodeggstuff.co.
That's goodeggstuff.co. Tell them Chrisie&Holly sent you. Okay, let's move on to
cracking the eggs.
Cracking those eggs. This week we're doing a chocolate pear cake.
Yeah, I'm still in my European baking kick, so there's a lot of torts happening in my house. A lot of tort. There's a lot of tort. So this one, I mean, it seems like chocolate and pear together seems a little weird, but it is a delicious cake. It's perfect for like an afternoon coffee break.
It's going to be great. Okay, so let's go into the ingredients that we're going to need for this cake. Of course, we're going to need 2 large ripe pears, okay? 1 cup of granulated sugar, a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 2 large eggs, which isn't a problem this time of the year.
Or 1 goose egg.
Or 1 goose egg, 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour or gluten-free flour, 1:1, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, a 1/2 cup of milk of choice. Now, Holly Ann did use oat milk because, she can't have the dairy. 1 generous cup of semi-sweet or bitter sweet chocolate, finely chopped, or just use the chips. 2 tablespoons of the turbinado, 2 tablespoons of the demerara sugar for sprinkling. I have the turbinado in my pantry that I use.
And if you don't find them like in the larger bags under those names, these are just names for raw sugars. A lot of times in the baking aisle, it'll just say like coarse sanding sugar, and that'll work too. You just want big bits of sugar for sparkle.
Walmart has it. Turbinado sugar, huge one. You only have to buy 1. It's good forever. You're good.
Yeah, I have a huge bag of it too.
Yeah.
You're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 180 degrees Celsius. You're going to grease a 9-inch springform pan and set it aside. We're doing a lot of springform pans. That goes along with all the European torts.
Yeah, and usually once it sets, then you can take it off. We had a question about when do you take the springform off. Usually it's once it sets in the refrigerator or right before serving, take it out.
Yeah, it's completely up to you. You know, whether you do it right away, you do it later. In the case of things with like a cheesecake or a creamy layer, longer is probably better so they solidify.
Yeah, I let it sit in the fridge with it for a long time with the cheesecake.
You're going to peel your pears, cut them in half, and remove the core. Dice 1 pear into small chunks, and then cut the other pear into thin slices and set those aside. In a mixing bowl, you're going to whisk together the granulated sugar, vegetable oil, and your eggs for several minutes or until lighter in color. You're really getting a lot of air into this.
Right.
You're going to whisk in the baking powder, salt, and vanilla. And then using a spatula, you're going to fold in the flour, cocoa powder, and the milk. You're going to mix all that together. Mix it until the batter is pretty smooth and uniform. I did use electric hand mixer for this.
Okay.
It's a lot. If you're doing it by hand, it's a lot. If you have stronger forearms than me, go for it. But I went electric mixer. Once the batter is nice and smooth and uniform, you're going to fold in the diced pear and the chocolate and or chocolate chips. Pour your batter into the baking dish. Top it with the sliced pears and sprinkle with the raw sugar. You're going to bake for about 40 to 50 minutes or until a toothpick's inserted comes out clean. And then once it's cool, run a knife around the outer edges, remove the outer springform, and serve when you're ready. I made this like on a Wednesday evening, and we had it Thursday evening because I wanted it to be nice and cool so the chocolate had hardened up a bit.
Right.
If you wanted to serve this one warm, it would probably be really good with vanilla ice cream or whipped cream.
Exactly. That would be great.
But it's easy and it's delicious.
Try it. You might like it. Let us know what you think. Send us pictures of all these great recipes. We just like letting you guys know eggs are in everything. So you can use them so many different ways, not just scrambled. Lots of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to retail therapy. Retail therapy. Yeah. This week's retail therapy, it's kind of a listener kind of request here going on. We're doing duck casserole dishes.
Now, this was a suggestion from Susan, one of our patrons.
We love Susan.
Because she acquired this absolutely fantastic duck casserole dish. So it's figural. So it's like a nest with a duck on top.
Right.
And the maker is Hall Carbone. So I'm just going to give you a very quick history of this, Susan. The Hall China Company was out of Ohio. They were founded in 1903 and they ran until 2020. In the mid-20th century, they were known for their use of brightly colored glazes and the work of talented designers. Their best-known vintage pieces include the Hall Carbone Duck Casserole Dish, cookie jars shaped like owls, and teapots shaped like Ronald Reagan and Sherlock Holmes.
That's very diverse.
Very diverse. Very diverse. So there's some other really nice vintage duck casserole makers. A couple of these are actually still making them. So we have Otajiri,
Hull.
and that's Hull, Hull, like Hull
Not
and Hull.
Hull.
Yeah, right.
It's Hull.
California Pottery. I believe the duck casserole that you gave me was California Pottery.
Yes, I believe so. A Pilco, which is essentially Williams Sonoma.
BIA Cordon Bleu.
And, okay, we're testing my French here.
Chasseur.
Chasseur.
And that one is enameled cast iron. Like you could kill somebody with this duck casserole if you had to.
Why am I getting all the harder to say?
Well, you take the last one too then.
No, you say it.
Sigma Taste Setter. And Sigma Taste Setter, remember I bought that big goose on a nest dish years ago?
Yeah.
That one is Sigma Taste Setter.
Now, I'm going to tell you, can you see that? That is the coolest.
Yeah, who's that maker?
It's French. French vintage Dessau.
I wonder if that's Chasseur.
Yeah. So there are a lot of these out there. When you go, all you have to do is Google duck casserole platter or dish.
There's a shocking amount. And then once you get past the casserole dishes, you'll start finding the soup tureens. And there's even more of those.
And you can use both, either or.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know. Some of those soup tureens are not oven safe.
Right. You can use them
So you
for
can
serving.
serve in them.
Right,
But you
that's
can't
what I
bake
mean.
in them. Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I would not use any of these to bake in. I would just serve. That's what I would use them for, serving dishes.
Really, the only one I would bake in is a Chasseur enameled cast iron because I'm all about some
Right.
cast iron
Now,
Dutch ovens and things like that.
there are so many. This is surprising. So many.
There's tons of them.
Oh my gosh.
And they're beautiful, like all different glazes. I do like the elegant simplicity of the California pottery because it's entirely white.
Right. Exactly.
You gave me one of those for Christmas last year, year before. I don't remember. One of our many late Christmases.
I mean, we're sitting here in February and we have not seen each other since before Christmas
It's true.
because of illness and weather.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, we need to just, we're just going to telecommute from like December 24th to March 1st, something like that.
exactly. So we've seen each other on video, but not in person to even give each other the gifts yet.
Right.
So yeah, we like to get the stuff ourselves. You know what? If you have one of these dishes, give us a story, hit the mention button and type in Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. That way it sends it right to our messages and I can reshare it. These are so cool.
They're beautiful. Otajiri makes a lot of chicken stuff, but they make a lot of duck stuff too. And currently the centerpiece on my table are these beautiful duck figurines.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful.
They are Otajiri. I
So
snatched them. I didn't find them on the wild. I snatched them up from eBay.
now, even if you don't have ducks, you can mix your poultry servingware with ducks and chickens.
You can.
It's very fashionable.
Emma Bridgewater has a couple of neat duck on nest dishes. We already talked about ducks on nests, but
Yeah, this is duck casserole, and I use them not to bake in, but to put the food in to serve.
serving.
But
Mhm.
sometimes I do get nervous with somebody lifting off the top. So I set the table, and then I take off the top and put the spoon on to let everybody just take what they want. Because I'm like, I don't want people picking up and down.
Yeah, you're gonna break
Chicken.
your poultry.
Don't
be
break my
breaking my
poultry. Don't break my poultry, man. Don't do it. Okay, so should we tell everybody what we're going to be talking about next week?
Hey, next week we're spotlighting one of my current favorites because they're beautiful and good layers, and I love everything about them. That is the beautiful Dorking.
And you have them in your flock.
Vintage chickens, yes. Dr. Rebecca is joining us to talk about liver problems in chickens. This is an interesting discussion.
This is a don't miss.
Cracking the eggs, we're doing a vintage dish. It's called marigold eggs, and we'll let you sit with the mystery until next week. What is a
Yeah.
marigold egg?
Exactly.
And retail therapy, we're actually talking about a liver supplement that can be used with chickens and other animals.
That can be a lifesaver, so you're going to want to tune in. Okay, so what should we tell everybody to do until next week?
Hug your chickens, ducks, and geese.
Every day and kiss them too. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you'd like to see more of us, please follow us on Instagram at Coffee with the Chicken Ladies. If you'd like to help us grow the podcast, please leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, please visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/coffeewiththechickenladies. Thanks for listening.